Upland boots live a harder life than almost any other piece of hunting gear. They get soaked before 9 in the morning, torn at by burrs and thorns, and asked to keep your feet dry, warm, and blister-free mile after mile. I pulled together 9 of the most reviewed upland and field hunting boots on the market right now and ranked them by how many hunters have actually put them through real seasons. We're counting down from the boot with the smallest track record to the one with the most proven feedback of them all. 9. Rocky Outback Gore-Tex Waterproof Boot. Starting the list at number 9 is the Rocky Outback Gore-Tex Waterproof Boot, and it earns its spot here because it's the boot with the smallest review count of the bunch, sitting at 831 ratings and a 4.4-star average. That doesn't mean it's a bad boot, quite the opposite. Rocky has built its name since 1932 in Nelsonville, Ohio, and this particular pair leans on full-grain leather paired with a genuine Gore-Tex liner, giving you waterproofing and breathability without the rubber boot bulk you'll see later on this list. Reviewers consistently point to comfort and quality as the strongest traits. One buyer, who's owned a pair for going on 3 years, says he's used them for hiking, kayaking, mudlarking, and rock hounding, and they're still holding up strong with no signs of giving out. Another reviewer logged 60 miles of hiking through 2 hurricanes and reported the Gore-Tex layer never let a drop of water through, even wading through shin-deep puddles, though he noted the trade-off is that a fully sealed boot like this doesn't breathe much, so expect sweaty feet on warm days. Several buyers mentioned going up to a wide size, since the standard width runs narrower through the heel than expected, and one reviewer specifically flagged that downhill movement on wet terrain felt less secure because of a less defined heel cup. On the downside, a smaller number of buyers ran into quality control issues, with loose or uneven stitching around the Gore-Tex seam showing up on a handful of pairs, worth knowing before you commit a whole season to them. For an upland hunter covering long miles through wet cover, the Outback's biggest selling point is that genuine leather and Gore-Tex combination, which a lot of cheaper rubber boots on this list simply can't match for all-day breathability and classic boot feel. But because it's the newest arrival with the fewest hunters weighing in, it lands at the bottom of our countdown. Up next is a boot that's already proven itself in actual deer blinds in below-zero temperatures, and the personal accounts get a lot more specific from here. 8. Tidewee Rubber Hunting Boots, Next Camo G2. Number 8 is the Tidewee Rubber Hunting Boots in the Next Camo G2 pattern, and this one jumps ahead of the Rocky thanks to a higher review count, a stronger 4.6-star average, and an Amazon's Choice badge, plus actual hunters describing exactly how these performed in the field, not just on a trail. The Tidewee comes in a standard build and an 800-gram insulated version, both using 7mm neoprene with a sealed rubber shell that runs all the way up to the top line, plus a breathable air mesh lining and an EVA midsole for cushioning. One reviewer who'd been freezing his toes in an older pair of uninsulated rubber boots while sitting in a deer blind through single-digit and teens to 20s temperatures switched to the insulated Tidewee and reported his feet stayed warm through repeated cold weather sits, with the sizing running true to the included chart. A Canadian buyer described using his pair for rabbit hunting and dog walks in conditions dropping to 20 below Celsius, and said his feet stayed warm and dry every time. Another hunter said he'd worn his through multiple hunts in single-digit temperatures for hours at a stretch without ever feeling the cold creep in, calling them worth far more than they cost. Beyond hunting specifically, a farm and field reviewer said the boots arrived well-constructed, fit perfectly without being heavy or bulky, slipped on and off easily, and held up with no chemical smell. High praise for a rubber boot. A few buyers did note a noticeable rubber odor straight out of the box, though most said it faded with airing out, and a small camp found the design fits more snugly around the top of the foot than competing brands like Muck, which is just something to be aware of if you're used to a different last shape. Compared to the Rocky, the Tidewee wins on raw hunter testimonials and a sharper reputation for genuinely cold sits, but it still trails plenty of boots on this list in total reviews. Coming up next is a boot built more for warehouse floors and patrol shifts than a duck blind, yet it earns its place because of how often outdoorsmen specifically call out its all-day comfort. 7. NORTIV 8 Tactical Hiking Boot Terrascope. Number 7 belongs to the NORTIV 8 Tactical Hiking Boot, known by its Terrascope model name, and it climbs past the Tidewee purely on review volume, sitting at 1,839 ratings with a 4.6-star average. This one is built more like a tactical work boot than a dedicated hunting boot, with a side YKK zipper for quick on and off, an Oxford fabric upper, and a lightweight ETPU outsole designed for people who stand or patrol for hours at a time. That work boot pedigree shows up directly in the reviews. A corrections officer who works 8-plus-hour shifts on concrete, despite having flat feet and hammer toes that usually wreck footwear fast, said these held up at the 4-month mark with no visible wear, crediting the cushioned feel for finally giving him relief. A construction worker in his late 60s who's paid well over $100 for boots in the past called these durable, lightweight, and a great value at a fraction of that cost. Another reviewer working 12-hour shifts with high arches and wide feet noted the included insoles are thin, but the boot stayed warm enough with wool socks during snow shoveling and felt breathable enough to pass in warmer weather too, while being clear that it's water-resistant rather than fully waterproof. Where this one runs into trouble is fit consistency. It's flagged on the product page itself as a frequently returned item due to loose sizing, and several reviewers backed that up, saying the boot runs a little big or that the width felt off for narrower feet. A few also mentioned the side zipper can loosen slightly during heavy movement. For an upland hunter who wants something light enough for warm season scouting and walking but doesn't need waterproof rubber, this is a reasonable crossover pick, even if it's really designed with security and warehouse work in mind first. It edges out the Tide we on sheer review count, but the next boot up brings a far stronger reputation, specifically among hunters who depend on it through real cold weather sits in the blind. 6. Muck Edgewater Classic Mid Boot. At number 6, we have the Muck Edgewater Classic Mid Boot, and this is where the list starts leaning hard back into dedicated hunting territory. With 2,352 reviews and a strong 4.7-star average, it beats the NORTIV 8 not just on review count but on actual hunting-specific praise. This boot was built from the ground up as a field boot, not adapted from a work boot platform. The Edgewater uses a 5mm neoprene bootie, a self-cleaning calendared outsole specifically designed to shed mud, snow, and dirt rather than pack it in, a high-vis roll-down upper for a pop of visibility when you need it, and Muck's BioDuix dry lining, which uses plant-based enzymes to fight the odor-causing bacteria that build up in a boot worn season after season. It's rated comfortable across a wide range, from sub-freezing up into the mid-60s, making it a genuine 3-season option rather than a single-purpose winter boot. Hunters back that versatility up directly. One reviewer who picked these up on a friend's recommendation for ice fishing said he was thoroughly impressed with how warm, comfortable, and waterproof they turned out to be, and now uses the same pair for duck hunting. Another buyer called them simply great hunting and outdoor boots for the money. A reviewer who directly compared them against a pair of Tidewee boots said the Edgewater's toe box felt roomier and more accommodating, while the Tidewee ran tighter through the arch. Useful context if you're cross-shopping the two brands on this list. Another hunter who bought these specifically to replace a worn-out pair of hunting boots said his feet stayed dry and warm in the field, with plenty of life left in them. The complaints are minor and mostly about sizing. Muck recommends ordering a half size up, and a few buyers who skipped that advice found the fit a little snug. A small number also reported the boots wearing out faster than expected. The Edgewater beats the NORTIV 8 because it's a true hunting boot first, backed by direct field accounts from duck and ice hunters rather than borrowed praise from a tactical boot crowd. But the next entry on our list edges it out with an even larger fan base and a distinct heritage style that a lot of warm-weather upland hunters specifically seek out. 5. Wideway 8-inch lightweight military jungle boots. Number 5 is the Wideway Combat Boots, an 8-inch lightweight military jungle boot, and it overtakes the Muck Edgewater on review volume alone, sitting at 2,605 ratings with a 4.3-star average. This one is a different animal than the rubber boots dominating the rest of this list. It's built on the classic 1965 M-1966 jungle boot silhouette, with a deep cleated Panama sole, a 7-eyelet lace-up front, speed lacing hooks, and a combination of top-grain leather and breathable nylon canvas, designed to drain water and dry fast rather than seal it out completely. That breathable, warm-weather first design is exactly what draws in a certain type of upland hunter, someone chasing birds in early-season heat rather than late-season snow. Reviewers consistently praise the comfort and the fact that there's essentially no break-in period needed, with one buyer who's worn his daily for over 2 years reporting no loose stitching and no sole separation, calling it more durable than boots costing 3 or 4 times as much. Another reviewer specifically sought out this style after failing to find anything similar to the boots he wore in JROTC years earlier, and said they fit true to size once he ordered correctly, becoming his new everyday boot. A buyer who tested the modern updated version praised the traction and the lightweight feel, noting it's clearly meant for muddy, off-pavement terrain rather than daily streetwear, since the soft rubber sole wears faster on hard surfaces. Not every account is glowing. One detailed review walked back an initial 5-star rating to 3 stars after extended use revealed the boot runs too roomy through the vamp and offers little real ankle support, concluding it's better suited to casual wear than genuine hiking or fieldwork. Sizing feedback is mixed across the board, with some buyers finding them generously cut and others finding them surprisingly narrow depending on the colorway. What pushes the wide way ahead of the Muck Edgewater here is pure review volume and a passionate following among buyers who specifically wanted this retro jungle boot shape for warm weather outdoor use. Still, it's a tactical boot wearing a hunting boot's clothes more than a purpose-built field boot. The next entry climbs into genuinely serious review territory, with over 3,000 hunters weighing in and an extensive, detailed account from someone who tested it during opening week of rifle deer season in steep, rocky terrain. 4. HISEA Rubber Hunting Boots. Number 4 is the HISEA Rubber Hunting Boots, tagged as an overall pick on the listing, and this is where review counts jump dramatically, 3,163 ratings and a 4.5-star average, with some of the most detailed personal hunting accounts on this entire list. These are 16.5-inch tall neoprene and rubber boots rated comfortable from the mid-teens below zero up into the mid-80s Fahrenheit, with adjustable cinch buckles, a breathable air mesh lining, a lightweight EVA midsole, and reinforced heel, toe, and Achilles zones for extra durability where boots usually fail first. The standout review comes from a hunter who battle-tested these during the first week of rifle deer season in Pennsylvania, working steep, rocky hardwood mountain terrain. He reported the boots fit true to size when sizing down slightly, handled a day of heavy rainfall and standing water completely without leaking, kept his feet bone dry through a multi-mile silent drive, and gripped just as well as any lace-up boot he'd worn on tough terrain. His one real complaint was that the advertised temperature rating felt optimistic once he was sitting motionless in a stand for hours in upper 30s to mid-40s weather, and he recommends battery-heated socks or insoles if you're not moving much in colder conditions. Genuinely useful advice for anyone planning long upland sits versus active walking hunts. He also flagged the stock insoles as flimsy and prone to shifting, and noted one cinch buckle kept working loose. Another reviewer, a farmer who also hunts and runs an outdoor wood furnace in upstate New York, said that after 40 years of buying boots and expecting 4 to 6 months of life out of each pair, these have outlasted a full big woods hunting season, plus a full year of farm and furnace chores, without showing meaningful wear, calling them the best boots he's used. A third buyer simply called them durable, comfortable, and affordable enough to buy again without hesitation. Fit feedback is mixed, with some hunters finding the boot a little narrow through the ankle, and durability complaints show up in a smaller slice of reviews. But the sheer depth of detailed, season-tested hunting feedback is what pushes HISEA ahead of everything below it on this list. Coming up at number 3, we've got a boot with an even higher star rating and one of the most beloved reputations for genuinely brutal late-season cold. 3. Muck Mossy Oak Woody Max Boot. Number 3 is the Muck Mossy Oak Breakup Country Woody Max Boot, and it edges past the HISEA with both a higher review count at 3,401 and a noticeably stronger 4.8-star average, making it the highest-rated boot anywhere on this list. The Woody Max is purpose-built for the coldest, nastiest stretches of the season, with a 5mm internal neoprene layer, a warm fleece lining, a stretch-fit top line that seals in heat, and an EVA molded midsole, all rated comfortable down to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. That cold weather pedigree shows up constantly in the reviews. One buyer on his second pair said his last set of Woody Max boots lasted 16 years through camping and hunting seasons before he finally needed a replacement, calling the fit, warmth, and comfort all excellent. Another hunter said the boots excel in mud and snow while keeping feet genuinely warm, and a third who's worn his for years called the construction excellent, with just enough extra room to layer heavier socks comfortably. One buyer specifically recommended sizing up to leave room for cold weather socks while staying comfortable at 30-degree temperatures, and another said the boots kept her husband's feet warm throughout his hunts while staying water-resistant in wet ground. A reviewer who described them as genuinely hot, almost too warm during 45 minutes of garden work in just shorts and socks, made the point that the insulation here is serious business, not a marketing claim. A few buyers did flag that the lower boot runs a bit heavier than competing brands, and one noted that wet, sticky snow tends to build up more on the Woody Max's sole compared to Muck's own classic tread pattern, though they still found it easy to slide on and off and praised the lack of pressure points anywhere on the foot. What separates the Woody Max from everything below it on this countdown isn't just the review count. It's the consistency of the praise across nearly every account, especially around true late-season warmth, which is exactly what serious upland and big game hunters care about most once temperatures drop. Sitting at number 2, we're about to cover a boot with over 11,000 reviews, more than triple the Woody Max's count, and a side zipper design that one reviewer said replaced a much pricier name-brand competitor entirely. 2. NORTIV 8 Military Tactical Work Boot. Response number 2 is the NORTIV 8 Military Tactical Work Boot, known by its response model name, and the jump here is massive. 11,186 reviews, more than triple the Woody Max's total, with a solid 4.4-star average behind it. This is technically a tactical and work boot first, built with a YKK side zipper, a breathable leather and nylon upper, and what NORTIV 8 calls a dynamic 3-sole system, a removable shock-absorbing insole, a flexible EV, a midsole, and a slip and oil-resistant rubber outsole. The brand specifically markets it for outdoor activities including camping, climbing, fishing, and mountaineering, which is exactly why it's earned a loyal following well outside its original tactical use case. One of the most detailed reviews comes from someone who works 16-hour days, 7 days a week, and specifically picked this style for the ankle support and easy on-off zipper. He deliberately tested the waterproofing during a real storm, standing in a deep puddle, and reported his feet stayed completely dry, a meaningful claim given he'd just switched off a pair of boots costing roughly $100 more from a well-known competing brand. Another reviewer said he's been wearing his daily for motorcycle commuting and found them comfortable straight out of the box. A buyer who specifically mentioned stomping through fields and mowing brush all summer said the break-in period was painless, and the boots held up well to that kind of rough outdoor terrain. Relevant context for anyone planning to wear these through thick upland cover. One buyer who initially had trouble with the stock insoles reached out to the company, got swapped into a different breathable tactical model from the same brand, and upgraded his rating to 5 stars after the fix. Not every account is glowing. A noticeable number of reviewers described the boots falling apart faster than expected, particularly around the sole bonding, while plenty of others report the opposite experience of years of daily wear without issue, suggesting some inconsistency between batches. A few also found the stock insoles too flat for anyone needing real arch support. With well over 11,000 hunters, security workers, commuters, and outdoor users weighing in, the response simply has more proven real-world data behind it than the Woody Max, even with a slightly lower average star rating. But there's one boot left that beats even this, a hiking boot with over 14,000 reviews, and a reputation that spans hunting blinds, mountain trails, and everything in between. 1. NORTIV 8 Waterproof Hiking Boot Paladin. And at number 1, with the largest review count on this entire list by a wide margin, is the NORTIV 8 Waterproof Hiking Boot, known by its Paladin model name, 14,191 reviews and a 4.4-star average, making it the single most validated boot in this roundup by thousands of reviews over anything else we've covered. It's built with a waterproof membrane construction, a protective rubber toe cap, a reinforced heel for stability, soft suede leather for wear resistance, a multi-directional traction rubber outsole, and a removable cushioned insole sitting on a shock-absorbing midsole. NORTIV 8 markets this one specifically for hiking, hunting, camping, climbing, backpacking, and trekking, putting it in direct competition with boots that cost noticeably more. The sheer volume of feedback means there's a personal account for almost every kind of outdoor use. One reviewer logged 15 miles in his pair, deliberately walking through streams to test the waterproofing, pushing through thick brush and climbing rocky hills, and reported staying completely dry and comfortable the entire time. Another buyer who put roughly 150 rough terrain miles on his pair hiking through Southern California heat said the construction held up well against the kind of adhesive failure that's common in hot climates, with the boot offering nearly full ankle protection while staying reasonably breathable. A reviewer who normally wears premium brands like Keen and Ariat said he was impressed enough by the comfort and light weight that he went on to order a second, heavier-duty pair from the same brand. Another buyer compared these favorably against pricier boots that had failed him with sole separation, calling these true to size with enough room to spread his toes comfortably, and noting they even helped with existing knee issues thanks to the cushioning. The honest counterpoint shows up too. Durability and water resistance get genuinely mixed reviews, with a meaningful number of buyers saying the boots didn't hold up much past a handful of hikes, or that water got in faster than expected. One buyer who ran into that problem said the company's customer service stepped in quickly with a replacement, which helped soften the experience. What earns the Paladin the top spot isn't a perfect record, it's the scale of proof. With nearly 14,000 more reviews than the next closest boot on this list, this is the upland and field boot that the largest number of actual buyers have put through real seasons, real terrain, and real weather, and the overwhelming majority keep coming back satisfied. If you want the boot with the most evidence behind it, this is the one to start with. That's the full lineup, from a boot that's just getting started building its reputation to one with nearly 14,000 hunters standing behind it.